Okay, we are officially on, and I am so excited to walk you guys through the 100K quarter formula. And I'm going to show you a tactical breakdown of $143,000 in sales in 3 months in my business that happened in the recent 90 days, how I'm going to continue to compound this, and the rhythm that I follow in my business that makes this possible. If you are someone who's like, wow, that feels like a lot, it feels hopefully expansive and stretchy to you, I want to just tell you right now, this is so possible and it can happen very fast when you're strategic, but you also have the identity and mindset support because that's a huge piece of making this actually happen in your business. And I obviously can't go through all of this in a very short training, but we're going to cram in the most golden nuggets. Take what's for you, leave what's not. How I run my business might not be the same as what feels good to you. But ultimately, this is going to give you so many ideas strategically and from a mindset perspective of how you can actually create six-figure quarters in your business. So let's fucking go. Okay. I don't actually know why you're here. Maybe you're nosy and you want to actually see where these numbers have come from in my business. Good news. I'm going to break them down for you and show you exactly where they did come from. But most likely, you feel like the delivery of your work, your client results, the fact that you know you're really fucking good at what you do isn't being reflected in the money that you're making currently or the sales that are coming through. And maybe you're annoyed with having to recreate and build momentum all of the time and feeling like even though you're making money, you're still starting from scratch in some ways, or your clients aren't necessarily seeing you as someone they want to continually reinvest in. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you just decide and make a really activating training where I tell you, as long as you just decide you're going to have $100,000 quarters, you will. That's part of it, but there's so much more that goes into this. So either way, I'm going to give you the playbook and you can apply again whatever feels in alignment for you so that you can speed up the process and lock in high amounts of sales in your business every single quarter based on this rhythm that has helped me do exactly this. Okay. So I want to actually make it very clear how fast these things can happen. Okay. Because last year at this time, I had no group offer, no signature offer, no membership. Like I was making $10,000 months in my business basically just with one-on-one clients. And I knew that I was going to hit $100,000 in under the year mark. That was incredible. It's amazing. I'm also the kind of person who's like, okay, but like, let's fucking go. How do I double, triple, quadruple this if it's not scalable? I can't work with that many more one-to-one clients. And so I knew this strategy. I knew I had to incorporate a scalable offer suite. It was more so really needing to back myself and step into the identity of someone, okay, that can hold that many more clients, that much more responsibility, and deliver a fucking awesome experience for people. And this is what I see happen all the time with clients that come into my world. The strategy is the easiest part. I'm going to give it to you today, okay? If you're still unclear about how this could look, because this is just an option of how it could look, I will give you the strategy. But none of this actually will be profitable for you if you're not doing the mindset work behind it, okay? And that was a huge thing for me. What I ended up doing was introducing a group signature program. It started last July, and I had current clients come into it, and only one new person joined for the launch, and I had to hold that for the entire summer before anybody else started joining and seeing results, and then it gained its own momentum. And I had to continue evolving the positioning for that signature offer because it was initially calling in the wrong type of client. So I had lots of people in there getting insane results, but I knew I wanted to elevate the space. I introduced a membership. I think it was $7 pre-sale a month. When I first dropped it, I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. I was beta testing and trying things out, and I think at least 12 people literally jumped out before the normal price point hit that first or second month. And I had to go, okay, am I going to continue optimizing and organizing this to be incredibly valuable? Or am I going to tell myself it's just not going to work? And of course, I just kept going. And a lot of people get to this point. I launched a mastermind last year and I had one person join. I mapped that launch out for 6 weeks. I made $1,900 total for the entire experience. All of these were reasons to quit, to pivot, to totally burn it down. And instead, I just doubled down. Okay. And a lot of you have to understand that your offers are allowed to evolve. Your entire process is going to require you to refine and not just backpedal into the old version of yourself and go, well, this was working before and it was good enough. Okay, we're not about good enough. If you want to have a $100,000 quarter in sales, we're well beyond good enough. Okay, you have to be able to hold the line and continue refining and getting better and better at your client delivery so that you can actually hold and sustain money like this coming into your business. And that's exactly what I did. And I introduced a high level mastermind at the end of 2024 only for my current clients. And I sold it exactly like I knew what it was, which was the best mastermind on the market. So I had current clients actually join that high level mastermind. And I started having people move away from as much one-to-one into my signature group program and my higher level mastermind. But I want to talk to you about kind of the transition and what actually happened. This is how I managed to do $143,000 in 90 days. I've never worked with so many incredible high level clients at the same time and still been able to scale like an absolute fucking psycho. And that's what we're doing. Okay. I'm going to show you how. But the truth is, okay, this isn't about being everywhere all the time and having like these really hard launch cycles. And honestly, like if you want to have this kind of money coming in your business, you have to actually like selling, or you have to show up so convicted in what you bring to the table, the work you're doing with your clients, the offers that you know are going to change their lives. Otherwise, you won't have this as an outcome. So, yes, there's an element of you don't have to be selling 100 fucking times a day. Absolutely not. Your business gets to a point where it starts selling for you. But I guess as I read that, I think there's an element of if you want extraordinary results in your business, you also have to move against the grain of what people consider normal. And that is really selling on fire. So hoping for the best is not a strategy. Absolutely not. But this is about having the right offer for your dream client. Okay. Making sure that that's exactly what you are focused on, having the right positioning for that offer so those people actually buy it, and then having a rhythm you can sustain. Okay. And a lot of the times I have people come into my world and they talk about like, oh my God, I'm triggered by how fast you move. Ultimately, it's the easiest thing for me. Okay. Because if I'm aligned with what I'm selling, I'm aligned with what I'm talking about in my content, I'm aligned with how I'm leading myself, there's no resistance. Okay. The discomfort comes from stretching, having big goals, doing things that I've never done before, maybe like making crazy investments in mentorship or events or experiences or whatever. But the rhythm is really my cadence and pace matches how aligned I am in my business. And that's why I've been able to scale the way that I have. And so I'm pulling back the curtain on how I structured this strategically. But there's also that part that many people aren't going to talk about because it doesn't sell that well, which is you have to actually have the capacity energetically to hold this, to be able to still serve your clients at the highest level when there's shit hitting the fan or when the offers aren't looking at, or one person joins in a launch. All of these things I see really dismantle people like, oh my gosh, I have a group program I launched and only one or two people are in it. Or, ooh, my group program has been really quiet. My mastermind people haven't been jumping into the chat. Like, I'm going to go in and try to stir things up. And this is literally why I see so many people stall their success, because then they're trying to engineer the client experience instead of actually setting the precedent and bringing people in who lead themselves. Okay. So last year to now, it wasn't just my offers that changed. It was the person that I was operating as. And last year I was calculating my way to certainty. And this year I just operated within my own certainty. I am the certainty. I know what I want. I know what I'm creating. I know what I'm doing. And I was wondering if I needed to launch harder or differently. Now I just sell and people buy. Okay. This is a frequency change. This is a mentality shift. This is a different way that I've conditioned my audience. And last year, I felt like I had to catch up to everyone else who felt like they were soaring past me. And this year, people are trying to figure out how I've moved so fast. And none of this will work unless you have unshakable internal certainty. And that's what I work on with my clients. And that's why I keep hammering on this as we go through, because it's really important to note that like you can plug and play every single strategy I give you today, but none of it will work unless you actually are the person who can hold it. Okay. So here's what I don't have and what I don't plan to install. Like there's parts of these things that I can absolutely apply as the business grows, but I don't have a team. I actually don't even have a VA. I don't even have any contractors. I do all of this myself. And I'm a mom to a almost 2-year-old. I don't do any paid ads. I don't have crazy funnels. I don't even have a mid-ticket offer, you guys. I have a $95 membership and basically $1,000 for my entry-level mastermind a month after that. Okay. And I still have been able to close this amount of sales. And what I find is so many people are really trying to stack more and more sales on the wrong foundation in their business. Okay. So if any of these things resonate with you, you have offers that you are not on fire about, you're not excited about, you're pushing urgency all the time, like dropping prices or telling people there's only 3 spots left when there's 5 spots left. Okay, again, huge red flag problem for people in your audience. Your content is really savage and it's loud and it's polarizing, but you don't actually have the sales psychology behind it, so it's not converting. And same thing with your sales plan. It can go both ways. You can have vibes and hope and no structure or rhythm, or you can have all the structure and the rhythm, but not the actual identity behind it. And so for me, I certainly didn't work any harder this year than I did last year and created very different results. But this is so much about fixing the bottleneck and the foundation of your business, not the like mechanics of it, but more so where you are leaking energy, where your client delivery sucks because you're not in love with the offer, where you're selling, but you're not really selling because you're scared if only like 2 people join, then what are you going to say to them when they come into like this big group, like all this shit, you know? And this is something that you have to be able to move through and clean up if you want to have results like these tenfold. Okay. So in February of this year, I did something scary. And I took my signature group program that I had run and that people had incredible results from. And I realized like I knew that those clients got the best results when I could have more touch points with them. And I decided to shut it down, even though it was guaranteed income. And I also let go of certain clients that just weren't matching the new standard, that kind of had been regurgitating the same issues and not really been committed to the work for a couple months. Like this was a really difficult decision to make, but it was intuitively aligned. And I had to start February at negative 100% recurring revenue. And I didn't know it at the time what I was going to do with Power Moves, which was my signature program. But I decided that in February, regardless, I was going to make the space for the opportunities and ideas and no longer settle for anything but exactly who I wanted to serve and how I wanted to serve them. And it just wasn't it for me. So I let that go. Okay. And it was really an intentional income dip, but it was also something I've done so many times in my business. It was easy enough for me to trust the process. And I know a lot of people stay exactly where they are because they don't. And if you're one of these people who's like, yeah, I have a couple of those clients that I literally want to just like rip my hair out when I have a call with them on the calendar, or I have this group and they're asking me questions I'm sick of fucking answering and we shouldn't even be having these conversations, that's on you. Okay? If you are still entertaining those conversations, those standards, the expectations, and you're not setting the boundaries, the precedent. You're not asking your clients to elevate or evolve with you, or you're not even, elevating your client delivery, all of those things on you. So number one, this was the catalyst for March, April, and May being this $143,000 quarter, or whatever, 3-month, 90-day section. Okay. So with that, I'm going to give you, this is exactly what my offer suite looks like. And it might change as we go, but I want to show you so that you actually understand what it does and how people move through it. I have a $95 a month membership. And in that membership, okay, I deliver 5 different new trainings, content and sales and identity related trainings every single day of the week. So there is probably 150 to 200 trainings in there, plus access to certain programs that I've run. I revamped this in December because I wanted it to be really geared towards my highest level client. And a lot of people make the mistake of making their low ticket memberships, courses, programs for a low level client, for a beginner version of their client. This is exactly why those people are not ascending through your offer suite. When you come in to my membership, first of all, for me, it's low lift because it's so easy for me to churn out these trainings. It's super in alignment with the conversations I'm having every single day. A lot of people might not want to do that. It can look however you want, but it has to feel good, okay? And feel like you can deliver no matter what. Inside of those audios, I am an absolute savage, like I would be at my highest level. So nobody comes in and is surprised about the level of mentorship or the conversations we're ever having. They're coming in and going, holy shit, I need to be in a bigger room. This is expanding the shit out of me. I had a client ask me once, how do you decide on the value you deliver when you're only charging like $95 a month? And I never measure the value I deliver in anything. Free, $95, $95,000, doesn't matter. I don't measure that value in the time, the trainings. It's just the quality. I'm going to give quality every single space and place. And the differentiator is going to be the proximity to me. And that's how people are going to collapse and get results faster. And because I do this in every single offer, people not only ascend through my offer suite all of the time, but it's the same ideal client. Okay. This is how you pre-qualify people. The biggest mistake I see is people trying to put together different offers for different ideal clients. Okay. If you want people to continue to pay you and stay and retain, this is where all your stacked recurring revenue is going to come from. Then you need to make sure the positioning of your offers is for the same person. They might have different problems. They might solve different problems, but it still has to be the same person. So I have my membership. I also do these micro programs every single month. It might not be something you want to do. I am a manifesting generator. I love to create new shit, but in order to make sure that my offer suite is sustainable, I created and relaunched Power Moves as a mastermind level program at the end of March. And what I used to do in that program was monthly micro programs and trainings. So I continue with that, okay? As part of that mastermind, my clients inside, they get access to a shit ton of stuff and proximity to me, but they also get these monthly micro programs that solve very specific problems that they're working through as they're scaling to recurring 5-figure, multi-5-figure months. And what I do with those micro programs, because I'm already creating them, it's already a nice creative portal for me to like create whatever I feel is really relevant in the moment without skewing my sales flow. I make them available to the public most of the time, which means that people have the opportunity to buy into something without being in a high level program and get a taste of my work. Okay, sometimes there's hot seats, sometimes they get to interact with me. These are experiences that I have done on a consistent basis that bring in so many new leads to my world. I love doing them, so this is something that has worked really well for me in my business. My core container is Power Moves, which is now a mastermind, and it has a full kind of ecosystem of everything that you could possibly need in order to scale to consistent 5 figures in recurring revenue. And it is also the space and place where buyers will come from literally my content, my free channels, my email list, but also these micro programs sell into it. And then my highest level mastermind is Polarity Mastermind. And this is also invite only. And these are people who Again, they can come from anywhere, but they're often recruited from my other masterminds, my one-to-one clients. And obviously, I also have um, some private coaching, but I don't really offer it to the public all that often because it's usually full. And I will only often sell intensives, like 2-week intensives or VIP days, within areas that I feel we need either a cash injection and I have the time, or there's an open space. Okay, so this is like the general overview of the offer stack. And then when you go through this, okay, I'm going to give you an idea of what the actual sales pathway for a client looks like, but also I want you to think about yours. How do people find you, binge you, and buy from you? And then when they're in your world, where is it obvious their next step? Okay, because this is the next thing that I see people missing all of the time. If you have offers that people come into from anywhere, they see a post, they get hooked, they watch a story, they hear me on a podcast, they listen to my podcast, they decide that they're going to come into my world, they join the email list or a micro program or whatever. Okay, they join maybe the membership. It doesn't matter. There's always a next step for this person inside of my offer suite. It's very clear that there's an ascension pathway. My offers sell into one another, no matter what. Okay, so make sure that when you look at your offer suite as a whole, that it's very clear how one feeds into the next. And if it doesn't, this is already a bottleneck to you being able to have 6-figure quarters. So you need to actually change. Maybe it's not the actual offers, maybe it's the positioning of the offers. That's something that we would work out together inside of a closer proximity container. But this is the general ascension of people inside of my space. And also the other thing just to know is that sometimes there's like a non-linear pathway. I've had people come into my membership and then upgrade into my Polarity Mastermind. Okay, I've had people come from a feed post straight into my one-to-one. I've had people come into a $55 micro program and then come into a 6K mastermind in 3 days. Like I've had all of those things happen, but you also can't bank on that all of the time. It's a really nice bonus. It's a really nice luxury to know that the content's doing the heavy lifting for you. But what's really going to actually stack your sales is having a clear pathway for your clients coming into your world. Yeah, but once they're in your world too. Okay. So I actually broke this down for you guys and I wanted to give you the real numbers. I hate when people are like, yeah, we did this and then they never talk. We're talking about sales. Okay. So contract sales, this isn't cash in the bank. But what that means is it's just guaranteed income for the business. And when we're looking at the long game, it's about stacking recurring revenue and being able to compound that over time, right? We're always playing the long game. And if you want fast, I always say this, if you want fast results, you better be fucking committed to the long game. That's how you're going to collapse time, I swear. Because you're not so committed or obsessed with the outcomes, you become obsessed with the process and creating something that you absolutely love. So that's a sidebar, but this is a breakdown of where these contract sales came from in those 3 months. And I did some private sprints, private intensives with people. I had some lingering one-to-one that just came back for like a month or something like that. Majority of these sales in those 3 months came from my Polarity Mastermind and also contract upgrades or extensions. And then the other chunk was Power Moves, which is also a mastermind. So this is the breakdown of what it looked like. And this is another thing to really note is that your sales, okay, in general, so much of the money and the recurring revenue that you could potentially be stacking for the next 90 days could come from current clients. This is one of the most underutilized pieces when I speak to people that come into my world and they're like, I just need new leads. I need new people all the time. These were almost not any brand new clients. These are people who bought something first. They bought a micro program. They were in the membership. They were already in a mastermind. So yes, they're maybe new to my world within these 3 months, but the first purchase wasn't the big contract. Okay. And so in reality, yes, it's really nice to have people just jump in. And I do have people come into high ticket outside of any other purchases. But when you can bring people across the barrier of paying you once, they are so much more likely to continue investing when the experience is great, okay, when they love the results that they're getting inside of your world. And so this is something where I've had people who are in my world for a really long time extend their contracts. I also had, for instance, someone come into Power Moves off the back of a intensive that they bought from Content, and they signed a year contract, and within 10 days they signed another year contract. Okay, so there's so many ways that this can happen. And when you are really open to all of the possible opportunities and you drop the assumption that, oh, this person just joined my world, so they wouldn't want to extend their stay or they wouldn't want to upgrade, that bullshit is why you're not making the six-figure quarter. Okay, so make sure that you are just paying attention to all the areas that are untapped, current clients that are actually really wanting to go deeper with you, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is the 90-day rhythm that I followed for this, but also that I follow on a regular basis. And again, it's going to be different depending on what you want to do with your business, what feels good for you. Okay. But one of the biggest things that I'm a fucking master at is creating, engineering, and maintaining momentum. Okay. And one of the things I see happen for so many people is they're good at doing that in short sprints. Okay, with their audience is moving really fast for this thing and then it all dies off. Or they have one high cash month and then they plateau for fucking ever. And there's really nothing wrong with all of these things. Like, this is part of business, but with my intentions and what I have for my goals, it's about really being able to maintain the momentum that I create. And so I'm not just selling, I'm just not thinking sales, I'm not thinking in months. I'm thinking 90-day cycle minimum, okay, measuring the income and the clients and everything happening, and really looking at the long term, okay? So longer contracts, clients buying into things for periods of time where they just feel so much certainty and trust with the results that they're getting that they're going to stick around. So in March, I ran a free event called Nice Girl Funeral, and we had 100 people sign up for that event. I spent probably 2.5 weeks promoting it, and it was just so on fire and so aligned with my energy. I just came up with it, and this is honestly why I love having the option of running these micro programs to the public, because I am the type of person who gets an idea and moves. And I know if you're like an atypical and you like your control and your planning, okay, that's fine. But this is built for me and it works really well. So that funneled into Power Moves. We had quite a few people actually join Power Moves from that event. And then we had a secondary event, like I do every single month, Launch Like You Fucking Mean It. We had about 30 people. This was paid. And that sold into Power Moves. We had more upsells, more people coming through. And again, it's just compound momentum. The last month of this 3-month section, we had a Chokehold Copy, which was again a paid micro program, sold into Power Moves again. And this is also where I usually will introduce current clients for resigns, extensions. I will have bonuses if I have something additional that I'm selling. Right now, we actually have Nice Girl Funeral, the live event. So those clients got the opportunity to extend or upgrade their contracts with some bonuses around that event. And all of this compounded to $143,000 in sales. It goes like this, okay? It follows the buyer journey. I like to keep things simple. I am not about getting into complex strategy. I don't think that it is helpful. The way that I operate in business, I've never seen it be super amazing for most of my clients. It totally depends on your model. But the first section of this is hardcore visibility. Okay, I go into a growth phase, and this is why you're here watching this, okay? Because most likely I'm in a visibility cycle. And that means I'm running some sort of free event, or I'm doing a private podcast, or I'm doing a challenge in my broadcast channel, or I'm doing something behind the scenes to generate more visibility and get a bit louder and get these leads in the door to have them understand and become offer aware, okay? And then batshit momentum, okay? I'm going to teach you how I compound momentum behind the scenes. This is going to be usually either one of those paid micro programs, or it can be a free program, but I like to move into having one of those micro programs be paid because I think it's just a good general pre-qualifier for the people inside. I make it extremely low lift, high value, and I sell high ticket into it. So that's usually going to be my signature mastermind, but depending on the problem that I'm solving, specifically for my highest level client, I will decide, and I compound that momentum, which means usually the sales aspect of this is pretty heavy in this midsection into the conversion squeeze, which I see people drop all the time. Okay. So I will run some sort of paid event usually, and then I will have this high ticket conversion squeeze month where I am having clients who are coming up on contract, re-signing, extending, upgrading. I'm having conversations with people who participated in the paid and or free events and inviting them into certain spaces. And this is usually going to be the highest sales month in the 3-month cycle. And I'm going to break each one of these down for you guys so you can pull from it what's going to be really helpful for you if you want to follow this model. Okay. So this is where you kind of clean house, okay? You clean up, you call out anywhere that you are working with clients who are draining your energy. You are selling offers just to sell them and not because you're on fire in love with them. Like, this is really when you want to start going, okay, is my content matching the power of what I deliver behind the scenes? This is a big one, okay? You don't know how to articulate the value of being in your world, in your content. So this is like a really good positioning audit time to make sure that you are being direct, you're building authority, you're creating content that's unique from anybody in the space. I like to do different things like repurpose viral content, top of funnel content, have live conversations and collaborations with people, show up on other people's platforms, and just really start to build more awareness for new people, but also to anchor in my current audience deeper with my brand and my values and the identity shift they're going to experience when they work with me. And then pre-sell or plant the seeds for whatever's coming next, okay? And so this phase in and of itself is really about becoming your potential client's first choice before you drop the offer. Obviously, you want to be selling all the time or have something available, but this is like no longer taking money just from anyone. Okay. If any of you are like, oh my God, it's a person, it's a sale, and I need it to happen, you need to do the work here. Okay. We want to really make sure that we're setting and holding a standard for your spaces and showing up bolder and louder and clearer with your brand voice and turning your audience on again. Okay. So that's what the visibility stage is really about. And I'm giving you guys all of the juice, okay, with what I do with this. Okay. So what I like to do in these seasons, in these months where I'm pushing visibility, is I will do things like I will repurpose a micro program or a training I did or something that was low ticket or a recording. And I will go, okay, I'm going to drop like I'm going to give 5 of you free access to this or something, discounted. Whoever DMs me first will get in. Okay. So something like that immediately just starts pulling people out of the woodwork. Then they go into my offer. They're already warming up because they're getting crazy value inside of there. I'll also do certain posts, like for instance, this masterclass, whatever it is, whatever I decide to do with it, most likely what I'll be doing is I will be creating content with a call to action for a keyword where you're going to get access to this, right? Okay, you're getting warmed up. You're understanding who I am as a person. You're having context of what I teach and how I teach. Great. We're starting to get people into different areas. And then I will also be pushier with inviting people to my free channels. I have a Telegram channel for, it's kind of like the same as a broadcast channel on Instagram, which I also have, but I find people are just more engaged and pay attention in there. So I push people in there because oftentimes I will be selling in there when I'm selling things pretty hard. The other thing, like I mentioned, is I will repurpose content. I will recreate viral content. Top of funnel content is going to be your friend in this visibility stage because you're bringing new leads in the door. So this is just a screenshot of the reel section on my profile right now. I just did a collaboration with one of my speakers for Nice Girl Funeral Live. But as you can see, I've taken different pieces of content. I will post it twice. I will tweak the hook. I will play with trial reels. The post that is the one with 316,000 views there is literally a hook and an entire caption that I have repurposed that has went viral many times. Same with the one that has 24,000 there. And even below, the one with my son in it has tons and tons of reach and brought me lots of followers because it's the same pieces of content that have, they always go viral for me. So I tweak, repurpose, push them out. And what happens is I get an influx of new leads. I make sure that content is tweaked and refined to try to attract the right people and reject the other types. But these are just a handful of the things that I do in this visibility stage. And honestly, I think that so many people focus on this all the time or never, right? And when you do it in a cycle like this, if you want to learn how to scale sustainably, you're going to go through those growth phases where your number one priority is visibility. But if you don't have the messaging, if you don't have the positioning that already converts, this doesn't fucking matter. And I see this with a lot of people focused on visibility, is that they're like, I need new leads, I need new buyers, new people, and get in front of new eyes. But like the positioning doesn't even convert people in the first place. So you have to make sure that you do all that other work first, okay? So the next piece is batshit momentum. It's one of my favorite. And I also do this all the time, but there's definitely a harder push, okay, in a second section, which is like your second month. And this is where you're building desire. And usually this is going to be where I'm running like a program. If I'm not doing every month, this will be my actual launch month where something happens. We run a program, we do something, but this is also where I do the experience and I put in different facets of the experience to compound momentum. So what I mean by that is almost every single time I do a low ticket event, I will have a VIP upsell option, still low ticket, okay, for my warmer people that is limited spaces, but it's more proximity to me. So immediately it just pre-qualifies people to come into the door to something that's really low ticket. It's not hard for them to say yes to. But then this is like them doubling down as a warm lead. They want to get more access, more feedback, whatever, and it's limited so they can jump in there. The next thing is that I always offer a way for people to share a graphic about the event or experience, or share something on stories, or share a testimonial. And in exchange for doing that, they get access to another one of my assets that's literally just sitting as a video recording, okay? Something I've already created that's high value, usually paid, okay? But if they share that they're joining this experience and they share it on their stories to their audience, they get immediate access to this thing. What this does is literally extrapolate the amount of people that I am in front of for this experience. So not only does it bring in more sales for the micro experience, but it just gets me in front of more people and it compounds momentum. The other thing I will always do is I will celebrate every single time someone comes in to a free or low ticket program, just like I would celebrate somebody joining my masterminds. And if you follow me already, you guys will see this. And the reason I do this is from a sales psychology perspective. Obviously, I'm very excited. And I'm actually happy when people join my world. But when people see other people moving, they move. Okay, it's borrowed credibility. So I train buyer behavior to be fast in my world. I have people who literally, I will drop something and they will buy without knowing what it is because I'm constantly doing this. And the other thing I'm doing inherently is conditioning the behavior of my audience and how fast they actually move. And the other thing inside of these experiences is that I never shy away from actually selling to people in my micro programs or my free offers all the way through the experience. Now, I do this, it's an art. It's not going to be like in your face, I'm taking away from the value that you're getting, but I make it very obvious what the next step is. And the other incredible thing that works really, really well is when people are inside of this, whether it's 3 days, 3 weeks, doesn't matter, I will be aggressive on the front end. So I mean in my content, in my emails, not right inside the program, but on my marketing side with advertising and promoting whatever high ticket offer I'm going to sell to the people inside of my free or low ticket event. Okay. And the reason that I do this again is subconscious sales psychology. They're consuming this content anyways, and they're already getting it in their head that they might consider moving into this. So then when we have an official pitch, they're already like 6 steps forward towards the offer. Inside, when I do this, I just grabbed examples from my stories, like people sharing and tagging me. I always share reshare graphics that people share. I will take people's names and put them on. I'll also screenshot any of the zaps that I have set up for people coming into my program so people can see how fast other people are moving when clients re-sign, extend. Other clients see that other clients are re-signing and extending. And the most incredible thing with this is like, it's not hard to do. When people start moving, even if one person, okay, comes into your free program, celebrate the hell out of that. And I mean publicly. Okay. First of all, you are training your brain to actually really measure success in a way that makes you tied to the process and not the outcome. Okay. That's going to serve you in scaling. But then two, it actually makes people feel so good about being part of your world that they are that much more likely to stay and reinvest. Okay. So not only are you attracting other people in, but the people you're celebrating are like, oh my God, she sees me. She knows my name. She's celebrating the fact that I joined something free or that, I came into the group program or I'm the first person that bought. And this develops deep relationships with the people that you're working with. Okay. I'm not going fast enough. But anyways, conversion squeeze. This is your last month. A lot of people will run something like this. They'll try to do a launch. They'll get some sales, maybe, or no sales. It doesn't matter. And they will literally just fall off the face of the earth. And if you're doing this, you're not running this in a sustainable way for you. And so if you were in my world, we would come up with a strategy. And no, it's not like I don't want to show up at all because it's too hard. That's you. Like, this isn't, I don't know why you're here. But most likely, it's just that you are doing things in a way where you are moving over the threshold of actually being productive. A lot of the times there's only so much you can do. And then it's about refining the quality of what you're doing, right? When it comes to scaling and we're looking at having $100,000 quarters, it's not so much about doing more and putting in more effort. It's about optimizing everything you're already doing, okay? And making it sustainable, but making the moves that you're making right now get you 10x results. Okay, so the conversion squeeze is so important, and this is actually where I get the most sales in my business. And this is where I'm taking everything I've already done and I am compounding it into more high ticket sales. Okay, so I'm repurposing the conversations, the problems that have come up for my high level clients in my free or my low ticket events. I'm milking that shit across my platforms, creating content on it, really stepping into the types of content that really converts for me. I'm going to go over that briefly after this. Shifting from selling a program to selling the identity shift of who you become when you come inside my world. Okay. I am also doing reach out to people who have been in the free or the low ticket events that I feel would be really good matches to my higher level programs. And this isn't usually a lot of people. It's just sometimes there'll be people kind of in those VIP tiers where I'm like, we would blow up together. Like that's kind of literally what I will say. I don't do any kind of like cold outreach. The other thing is actually giving people space to go. So I will, run a lot of these micro programs in something like Telegram. And so what I will do after we've been through it, and there's been a little bit of that stewing time, is I will create an invitation for people to come into my free channel. Or, hey, I'm going live at this time, or hey, make sure you're on my email list. I'm about to announce something exclusive. And so I'm just keeping the pot warm. Okay. And the tactical focus of this point in time is to tell stories or create really specific problem aware content around every single thing that I went through previously in that free event or the last event. So as an example, okay, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of this, if you go into my feed and you look at where did we start? When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about March, April, May. So March was Nice Girl Funeral. If you look at a lot of my content in April, it was about that. Okay, if you look at a lot of my content in May, it would be about what we did in April. And I do this strategically. Okay, one, because it's very embodied and it's real case studies, real examples, either how I led myself, the clients that got crazy results, like this is what I've done to get X result and how you can do it too. The other thing would be actually creating more authority content. And this is the type of content that is for people who are in that decision-making phase of the buyer journey. So really clear opinion, thought leadership content about me as a mentor, because my assumption always is that when I'm selling during these launch cycles, there will be people who buy immediately, and then there will be people who take a couple of these nudges to make the move. So I always assume there are people out there thinking about making this decision, and I create content for them. And you would be so surprised at the amount of high ticket buyers that come in off the back of that assumption. So don't ever finish out a launch and think that anybody who didn't buy will never buy. Because my experience is that almost every single one of those people that didn't buy just didn't feel certain enough or ready enough, or they're dealing with their own objections. Okay. And same thing with the back end invitation. So this is just the example of what kind of happens, especially with my high ticket sales. My most high ticket sales and like the concentration of them happen in this month because I am doubling down. I am not doubling back. And a lot of people after a launch will make up a story, whether people bought or not, whether the amount of people they thought were going to buy, and then they cool right the fuck off. Okay. You're here to step into the identity of somebody who makes $100,000 quarters. And that bitch, she does not double back. She doubles down. Okay. I assume conversions are happening, whether or not people have bought. And the truth is, because I make that assumption, they do. Okay. So I want you, if there's anything you take from this training today, is that will change your life. If you finish out a launch or a free program or a low ticket and you're selling into something and people don't bite the way you think they will, or the person that said they were going to buy ghosts you or whatever the fuck, if you continue to show up as if you know they're going to move into your space and you give them more reasons to, more certainty, build your authority, and do this strategically in your power, you will be very, very shocked with how many high ticket sales you can make. The other thing is that I have a high ticket strategy behind all of my low ticket offers. Okay. So like I mentioned, I've had low ticket buyers become, a 12K to 24K plus client in my world. And it's because I really make sure that they are specifically for my highest level client. And even in those offers, if you've ever been in any of my micro programs, you know that I will not bullshit anything. I won't fluff anything up. I will be as direct and real, and I'm not going to dumb anything down just in case the wrong people came into the space. You will always have some of the wrong people come into a low ticket space. That's the nature of these. But the way you're actually going to capture the attention of your highest level buyers is if you deliver inside of those programs and in the positioning of those programs, like the sales copy, the content, only for your premium level client. Assume that they get it, what you're talking about their high level offers. Oh my gosh, problems. I have too much lingo in my brain right now. And making sure that it's positioned for the person who really feels like expanded in your world, and you're not like dragging people along to understand what you're trying to actually help them with. I see this a lot when people create these lower ticket or free offers. They're like, well, that means basic. Okay. I'm not in here doing this training taking you through the basic shit. I assume that you have the basics down pat. I assume that you understand you need a scalable, optimized offer suite in order to actually have 100K quarters. And you also know the importance of doing the mindset work. I'm reminding you of that. But if you don't know those things and you're like, I have no fucking clue what this bitch is talking about, that's okay. That's okay. But you're not my premium level ideal client who's going to absolutely soar. Okay. So it's just really important to make sure that you're positioning even your lowest ticket offers, high value. Oh my gosh, I'm going to make this too long. But like the other thing that I don't ever want you to do when you create these is go, I don't want to give too much away. If I give too much away, people aren't going to buy from me. People aren't going to buy from you because you don't give it away. I don't gatekeep shit. And it's why people buy from me in the first place. Okay. Because if your value is only in the information you provide and the strategy, then who are you compared to anybody else in the space? Why are you different than anybody else? Okay. People don't pay me for the information and the strategy, though I'm really fucking good at it. They pay me for all the other things I bring to the table as a mentor that's going to help them become the woman who can hold big money in her life and her business, okay, as a leader. So making sure that you're not like, okay, well, it's a $20 program. Like, I don't want to, you don't want to give them all everything in the kitchen sink. No, but you want to make sure whatever you give people in these experiences, regardless of the price, even if it's free, is very, very valuable. Because the more value you can give these people, the more they're going to implement, see the tangibility, and immediately want to work with you because they're already getting results. They're already having aha moments. Okay. It's just natural. So for me, I also don't handle objections. This is something I used to do. This is something that even last year me did. And that's why she made six figures, which is incredible. But this version of me is making those six-figure quarters because of this, okay? When people come to me with objections, a lot of the times in these micro programs or free events, people will DM me and they'll be like, hey, oh my gosh, I want to join your mastermind, but I'm already in a mastermind. And I'll go, okay, that's okay, right? Oh my gosh, I want to join Power Moves, but like, I just don't know if I can actually bring myself to like make that payment because I'm only making this much money in my business. Okay, no problem. And the reason behind this is, okay, when people bring you their objections in the DMs or any conversation, it's because they're looking for you to fight with their ego. They're looking for you to take that as bait and have an argument with their fear. And I don't do that because what happens when you let people go off with their own objections and their own fear and their own ego is that they have to fight it themselves. Okay. And what happens when you do this, if you fight with people, okay, I was taught to handle objections. And I used to fight with people about why, flip the objection. Well, you don't have time. This is the reason, this is the best time. It's going to give it whatever. Right. And then people would outsource their power to the certainty that you gave them, the belief in them that you gave them. And they would come in disempowered and not leading themselves. And I learned through doing this for a long time that the most empowered clients who lead themselves are the ones who I am like, I will not fight with your objections. I'm here when you're ready. And they come back when they're in their full power and full self-leadership. They're the best type of clients to ever come into my world, and they stay. They are playing the long game just as much as I am. Okay, so if you have people when you do these experiences who are like, oh, I want to join, but the price isn't right, do not get into the weeds of arguing with their objections. This is something that you like to do, fine. But when you realize it's all about them and not about you, because price is all about perceived value, and it's really just about making sure you're doing your job at showing them the value of being in your world and the results that they're going to get, then they have to do the rest. If you want clients who meet you and high level premium clients, they're not coming into your DMs in the first place and saying that shit. And if they are going to become a premium client, they're walking away and coming back when they're in their power. Sidebar, I'll charge you extra for that later. Okay. The other thing is that like I have created a culture of speed inside of my audience. This is a nervous system strategy that so many mentors miss. They don't talk about. And this is why my buyers move fast and they stay longer and they continue to invest. Okay. It's not a script. It's not creating fake urgency with people and being like, you have to move so fast. Okay. It's how I move. It's how I move. Okay. And I operate this way. I'm embodied with this and I show this in my content, okay? Because I'm not the type of person who's like, you better fucking buy fast. You get the idea, you move, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not actually doing it myself. This is why people hire me. They want to match my pace. And I agitate the symptom when I'm selling, not the strategy. So I talk about the internal friction and tension that my ideal client feels already. There's something she knows she's meant to do. There's a version of her she knows she's meant to be. And then she's not fucking stepping into that. She's arguing with herself. And so I talk about that all of the time. And I don't sell steps. I don't sell like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Very rarely. You'll see a couple strategic pieces of content. And this is a really strategic training for me. But often they will feel the cost of waiting before I ever talk about the ROI. And the ROI is massive of being in my world, but it trains my best clients to really lead themselves to the version of them that they really want to move as. Okay, that's what's happening when people come into my world. They're like, I'm scared of my own power. It's not my speed that scares them. It's like, I'm scared of who I'm going to become when I hire Jess. Okay. And this is the best way to do it because my clients are incredible because of this. And the other thing is that I do reward speed with value. So, like when you come into my small offers, my free stuff or my low ticket, like people, when they move fast, they get a lesser price, they get more content from me. Usually, I will start early. When people sign up for my masterminds, a lot of the times I will have fast action bonuses for them. Like we have a conversation, and I usually have something on the docket that they're going to lock in when they decide to move. And it's usually because people are moving on an intuitive hit, and I like to reward that. And so a lot of my clients move this way, their clients move this way, and it just becomes this absolute rocket ship together. And the other thing that I do is I condition the culture of not sitting in resistance. I talk about this all of the time. Okay. Burnout is literally not doing the shit you know you need to do. Overwhelm is literally trying to intellectualize how you're going to make something happen instead of acting so that you can figure out how to make it happen. Right? These are all the through lines and the themes of the conversations that I have in my content because every single client that comes into my closer proximity moves like this. And that's what I want because it creates incredible results. Okay. And I get people in my spaces when they execute and implement like themes, they just absolutely blow up. So I don't fight for conversions, but I certainly create this culture of speed, even though the long game is very much in the foresight, like that's what we're paying attention to. Fast results happen when people don't sit in their resistance. And so I talk about that all of the time in order for people to already kind of have that in the back of their mind and be a match for that mentality. I wanted to give you guys really quick just this like way that I like to create a stack of content for the buyer that is going to be the person who is a match for this high ticket offer that you want to focus on for these 3 months. Obviously, there's an element of you can sell multiple high ticket offers. So you can pitch so many different things. But if this is your first time actually creating this rhythm and formula, I would certainly suggest focusing on one. The other thing is when you do the work to make sure that your offer suite is positioned properly and for the same client, it doesn't matter what offer you sell because it's all going to be relevant. Okay. So with this, this is kind of how I create funnels. I don't do big email funnels. I don't do massive opt-in funnels. Like I don't do behind the scenes sales funnels for clients. Ultimately, this is more than enough. Okay. Obviously, as time goes on, this might change, but this is what I like to do. Okay. I like to create these specific pieces of content, and it worked really well. When I create these pieces of content, I will have buyers who move really fast. I will have less people ghosting because they've already become a match to what I'm selling. I will have more retention. Okay. People actually wanting to re-sign without me having to like badger them to re-sign. And I really get clear on the specific problems that my high level client has that are going to be solved within this offer. So with this, um, the belief flips, this is the type of content that honestly converts the highest for me. And this is like what part of themselves or what belief are they clinging to that's keeping them from the result you know that they want. Um, I'm going to give you examples of this in my own content really quickly. A story from your own edge or transformation. This could be an origin story. This could be a recent story of what you did last week, last month, but it's something that emulates your embodiment as a leader. And then an identity-based client win. So using a case study about who this person became in my world and what the side effect or the byproduct of that identity shift was. And then I love me a good unapologetic, like direct, opinionated post. Okay. So I'm going to really try to kind of walk you guys through different ideas of what you could come up with. And then when you create these, you can repurpose them into emails, you can repurpose them into story slides, you could tweak the angle, you can, post them one week and then the next week. Like there's just so much that you can pull from just these 5 things. So with the belief flipping, you can call out the exact, I want to say like lie or limiting belief that this person is operating from. You can flip it in real time. I do this all the time. A lot of the times people will be like, I don't have enough visibility. I don't have story views to make sales. And I will create a post that says like, yesterday I got 6 likes on a carousel, but I made $17,000 in sales. Here's why. Your story views don't fucking matter, right? So when you do this type of stuff, this is your conversion content. Your story is really anything that's relevant. Like I will talk about, again, I will seed previous experiences. So I think there was even one after Nice Girl funeral when I talked about, I was literally sick. I was covered in vomit from my toddler, and I ran the most epic first call for like a 100-person group program, blah, 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 blah. If I can do that, you can post a piece of content today. And I just really start to shift the person's perspective and mindset on what's actually holding them back. Same with the identity-led client posts. Like my client literally believed that every single person in her audience was broke. They were sending her screenshots of their overdraft account and couldn't make a $43 payment for an offer. And she went from subscribing to that for a month to me telling her that's absolute bullshit. We're going to do this instead. And having those people come back and pay her in full thousands of dollars for her offers, right? It shows people exactly what can happen. And then the opinion posts, I mean, if you're here, I'm sure you know, I make these all the time, so you can go look. I'm going to give you guys just quick examples. I pulled them from my feed as hooks, but like belief flip, right? My client said she doesn't agree with half the shit I say and then landed a 16K sale. Okay. The reason that people are going to hire you isn't always because they agree with everything that you say. They're going to hire you because of how deeply you back your own opinions or how hard you actually show up in your conviction, more so than the strategies you teach, right? Go into it. Same thing with even bad bitches or people pleasers, and it's blocking you from taking your brand to 7 figures. I get a lot of clients who are like, I'm not a nice girl. And I'm like, I know you're not a nice girl. Okay. I know you make savage content. I know that you make a shit ton of money and you serve your clients. Here's how this is still affecting you. Belief flip. Okay. Example, May was a $65,000 month. 5 years ago, I was 100% sure I'd never get out of $60,000 of debt. Story, also a great belief flip piece. This is a social proof example of the client, right? She went from having people who wouldn't pay for a $43 offer to having 33K in sales in 30 days. Same thing like with those direct call out posts. One of them was, you say you want power, but you secretly want people to feel bad for you. Let's get into it. And I talked about you can't get these results if you're still feeding your victim mentality. And so these types of posts are always great for conversions. And also I can pull from these posts concepts, more content, different angles, different hooks, and I can create literally weeks of content on these subjects. So this is where you can absolutely start. I want to give you guys just like a brief game plan. Okay. So number 1, pull out anything you have that you are currently selling that you do not align with. Even in your bio, like anything, any freebies, like if there's shit that you're pushing just because it sells, you're already holding your next level back. You need to clear space. And a lot of people want to pack everything on and not let go of what's working. And I teach this as the GAP framework because you cannot have a quantum leap, okay, without a quantum crumble, 100%. So a full offer audit and make sure that everything feels really aligned with your next level client, the absolute dream client. And that means looking at if there's any clients you're currently serving that are just holding you back in your evolution. Maybe they're a downer for a group that you're serving. You are responsible for setting the standard and having the conversations, being honest with your clients, but ultimately sometimes as you're evolving, okay, if you're someone who's like, yeah, I'm going to $100,000 quarters, you need to make sure that the people you're serving align with the values, the pace, the precedent, okay? And then I want you to get rid of any misaligned prices or any outdated containers, any low, shitty freebies, okay, that you're going to waste on potential good leads that are going to come in and be like, this was not that great. Okay. Pick one high ticket offer that you're going to anchor in for the next 3 months, and one that you feel clean and excited about, and it just like lights your soul on fire because that's how you're going to sell it. Okay. It has to be aligned with the goal that you have. So make sure that at least, even in contract sales, it makes sense. If I sell this many of this offer, I'm going to hit my goal. And then you're going to actually decide what kind of experience you're going to create for people. If this is something you want to do, because you could do like a free podcast, secret podcast. You could do like a challenge in your free channel. You could do, a series of lives or something. It doesn't always have to be like a free or low ticket experience. There's so many ways that you can do this, and you can even do it from your content. You just have to be very strategic. But definitely, if you're going to follow this framework, make sure you figure out what it is, and then make sure that it solves a very specific problem for that high level client. And then I want you to pick some sort of clear positioning for your brand and for this experience, and make sure that the messaging aligns with the person you're calling in and the perceived value. You're speaking to people who are the highest level possible client that you serve, even when you're selling your lowest ticket. Okay. And then you can even use the little framework I gave for your 5 core concepts, and you can voice note out what those might be for your clients, or write them out, turn them into emails, carousels, like stories, captions. You can use ChatGPT to turn them into those things, but fucking write them first. Okay, guys? Please don't use it to write your captions. And then every single time that you go through these phases, it doesn't matter. You're always going to be selling, okay? Whether you're soft selling, hard selling, whether you are just showing up, okay? Either way, you want to make sure that there's always a place for people to go, that you're always extending the invitation for them to join your world, because you're not in charge of the timeline of when people have been circling or been considering or consuming your content and decide to make a move. So you never want to have the door closed completely if anybody's going to decide that they want to come in. Okay. So that is all I have. I think we went way over time, but I tried to be quick. I hope this was super fucking valuable for you guys. And I want you to remember that this, honestly, for me, it was within like an 8-month time span that we've been collapsing time and having sales cycles like this with this very basic formula, and also coupled with the identity work, as I've said 100 fucking times. If you are someone who knows you want to just take this and implement it and execute it and have the support to make it happen, you have a to-do list, okay? But I have a space for you where we can actually make it happen and come to fruition. This doesn't always happen fast, but ultimately, being in a space with someone who is moving like you want to move and at the speed that you want to move at is going to collapse time for you. My clients get absolutely incredible results. I've had clients come into my masterminds, literally some making $0, some making $30,000 months, and every single one of them just absolutely blows up. If you are done playing around, okay, and you want to get serious about some of the goals that you have for the rest of this year, for next year, the long game as a brand and as a business, please reach out when you are interested in joining one of my masterminds or my high proximity. We also have an incredible event happening in October called Nice Girl Funeral Live. We have amazing speakers, Madeline Cousin, your biz coach Demi, Marley Harris. We have so many more we haven't announced yet. If you want to be a part of this incredible movement, you can get your ticket on pre-sale. As I'm currently saying this, it's June. But also, if you know that you want to be in my world, we have some amazing bonuses to actually get a ticket when you sign. So just DM me Mastermind and we can start the conversation. These are application only masterminds. I'm really, really careful about the women that I let into these spaces because we want it to be incredible energy in there for you to expand. So things can change very quickly. when you have the support to become the version of yourself that matches this strategy. I hope that in watching this entire video, you understand how possible this is for you and how exciting it is. Because if I got to tell that version of me last year, who was literally making $10,000 months with one-to-one clients, like, don't worry, in 6, 8 months, you will be doing $100,000 quarters and serving the highest level, most incredible clients in different group programs, getting crazy results. I would have shit my pants. So I love you. I hope you have the best day, and I hope you took something from this. Okay, bye guys.